So my name is Pylitt. I swam for Carmel for 11 years club. Um, I was never a really good swimmer, so a lot of people probably don't know my name, but I definitely was loud enough that everybody knew who I was. And I basically just made friends with everybody, even though they were like the best of the best. I was just kind of that girl that was like bopping around friends with everybody.
You're a great teammate.
Yes, it was so fun to be surrounded by people who had incredible talent and incredible drive because it made me, I think, it made me work a lot harder and know that, yes, even though I was like a lot smaller and I wasn't necessarily like the top or the best of the best, I was doing my best. And I think being around these elite athletes made me stronger not only in the pool but outside of the pool as well.
Well, there's something too about always being challenged to give everything you can and to learn
Mm-hmm.
that at a young age. And as you kept saying, to be the best that you could be, that's exciting. And that's not always easy to learn either.
No. I know I had friends in college that I feel like hadn't learned that until we got to college and had a really hard time. But I feel like because I had a harder time, I guess it wasn't a terrible thing, but it was, I had a harder time than some other people who were
Mm-hmm.
naturally talented or just built different body wise, and just were better swimmers. I think it taught me to like kind of fight through challenges that I had in the
Yeah.
pool, out of the pool, in real life now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Sure. So I went to college in Boston
Mm-hmm.
and I went to physical therapy school out there as well. I swore I would never come back, but alas, I live in Carmel. Like I said, I'm a physical therapist. I work at the Rehabilitation Hospital of Indiana, so on the west side.
Mm-hmm.
My main specialty right now is spinal cord injury and stroke recovery. But then, of course, over the last 9 months, I've had the pleasure of taking care of COVID patients.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was quite interesting. I think I told you this, but I feel like it took a lot of courage to get, courage and perseverance. I feel like has followed me my whole life.
Yeah.
It took so much courage the first few times walking into those rooms of people who you knew were like extremely sick,
Yeah.
had no idea where they were, had been on a ventilator for 3 weeks, were here to because they couldn't sit up at the edge of the bed.
Yeah.
But they had this disease that could also make you sick. But your job was to take care of them. And then, of course, it took a whole lot of perseverance to get to the point where we could push our patients because they were tired. They had been on a ventilator for weeks. They didn't want to get out of bed. They were so sick they couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
Just little things like getting dressed made them out of breath, let alone getting up and trying to walk again. So
Mm-hmm.
reminding yourself of like I said, I had a lot of struggles when I was a young swimmer. So reminding myself of things like that and in my personal life that I struggled through and thinking about how much those people had to persevere through to get to the point where they could go home and see their family after a month of being in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
It was a pretty awesome experience.
Do you have, this is not like a prepared question or anything, but do you
Okay.
think over the last 9 months, can you identify? I'll ask about your favorite Carmel swimming memory, but just knowing how you've really leaned on courage and perseverance in the last 9 months, has there been anything specific that you can identify as a really good moment that's been so hard to focus on some of that right now? We're in the trenches in our own ways. So, is there anything that you really felt like you want to celebrate from these last tough 9 months and share?
Sure. There's a few. So personally, I think it's been a really cool experience. My family, I mean, my parents live here, my sister lives here, my brother and his wife and their kids live in Florida, and then my cousins and my aunts and uncles live all throughout the country.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't see each other very often, but it's been really cool. We've done a lot of family Zooms. I
Yeah.
mean, who knew that Zoom was a thing until 9 months ago, but it's been amazing. So I've gotten to see them and talk to them a lot more than I normally would, which is fabulous. Professionally, just seeing like kind of the camaraderie and the teamwork that it takes to
Mm-hmm.
get through these moments. Boy, there were a lot of crying moments. We were all sitting around crying and stressed out. And like, the first few months, it was every other day we had a new meeting with new PPE and new precautions and new things that we had to do in our own personal lives, even
Yeah.
outside of work, so that we could come to work and take care of these people. And so those kind of teamwork moments, and then also seeing your patients get better.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a patient who is, I'm going to try not to identify, but he has identified me in the media, so I guess it's okay. But I'm not going to tell you his name, but he is a very well-known architect in Carmel.
Mm-hmm.
He had COVID, was on a ventilator for weeks. His family was told he was going to die multiple times. Bodybuilder, right? You're like, okay, peak health, eats healthy, amazing shape, whatever. He got COVID. He lost 70 pounds.
Oh my God.
So when he came to me, he couldn't stand up.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't walk. He couldn't get dressed on his own. Things that we don't even think twice about.
Right.
And on the way out, he was walking, dancing. We don't do it anymore, but I wish we still did. But we used to play the song "Celebration" by Kool and the Gang when people left. And he like danced and twirled his way out, and then to see him, I mean, his family wasn't allowed in, but they were outside, and he ran out and gave them a hug, and his family dog was there, and it was just like, there was not a dry eye in the room.
I'm sure.
And it was just like a miraculous moment, because you're like, okay, yes, he, in the scheme of his physical life, this is a big deal, but holy moly, he has energy, he's back to walking, he's back to those simple things that we don't think twice about. And I think now he's back to like weightlifting and doing life.
Amazing.
Which is amazing.
That really is. Oh, thank you for sharing those.
So when I was 18 months old, I think my mom will probably be like, oh my God, you said the wrong age. Whatever. Before I was 2, we moved to a new house in Carmel.
Mm-hmm.
And in our backyard, we had a pool. Mm-hmm. And I remember seeing my siblings, who were 10 and 12 years older than me, jumping off the diving board, swimming around. And every night when my parents got home from work, it was like this big, like, party, because we had this awesome new backyard. And I remember it's not that I wasn't allowed in, but not being able to do what they were doing.
Oh, yeah.
So I felt super left out. And then one day my mom told my nanny, she was like, I really just want you to put her in the water, see what happens. And the next thing I know, I was swimming, jumping off the diving board. I was just like a crazy swimmer. And for people who know my dad, they probably know that he doesn't know how to swim, despite the fact that he works for USA Swimming and has been on the Carmel board and is an official. Like, he doesn't know how to swim. So at that point, when I was like 3 or 4, I was already swimming more than him. So, and at the time, of course, I didn't even recognize that, but it was just fun to be like part of my family. So then I got to be the kid that my dad was trying to catch in the water, and those kinds of things that I always felt left out from. Mm-hmm. That was my first kind of foray into loving being in the water.
Very.
I think, like I already touched on, it's wild to me to think about those 2 words that our club thrives on: courage and perseverance. I mean, I'm sure when I was a kid, I probably laughed and was like, oh, that's so lame. But I remember writing my entrance to college essay on courage and perseverance and things that I had gotten through now looking back as a kid, right?
Yeah.
And then, like I said, going through this wild pandemic and not having any clue that as a physical therapist, I would be involved in a pandemic and care for patients. I mean, that's taken a lot too. I think just knowing that hard work is going to pay off ultimately, like it did with swimming. You know, was I the best? No. But did I improve with hard work? Absolutely. Did I notice improvements? Absolutely. Did I set goals that I could achieve? Absolutely. And so I think knowing that, going through college, going through physical therapy school, which was definitely not easy, and now going into a job where sometimes I have the potential to help people learn how to walk again. Boy, it's not easy. Sometimes it takes 3 of us to get somebody up for the first time. And today I had a patient who, the first time we walked with him, it took 3 of us just to keep him upright and prevent him from falling. And today he left the hospital with a cane and I wasn't holding on to him. So it's things like that that remind me that, yes, I've struggled, but there's other people that struggle too. And kind of realizing my own struggle and understanding it a little bit better in others, I feel like is something that if I didn't swim and I didn't go through my own challenges at Carmel, I don't know if I would have that perspective for what other people are going through. Have fun. Don't take it too seriously. I feel like half of my life I took way too seriously. God, you don't have responsibilities or bills, and it's amazing. Like, enjoy it. Enjoy being around your friends. Work hard because you can't really get anywhere in life without working hard. So, yes, it's going to take some sacrifices, but just enjoy it. Have fun because it's a once in a lifetime opportunity that you're never going to get back.
Yeah.
I feel like Carmel Swim Club is a great environment to test your limits, to find who you are as a person. I think a lot of people's characters definitely develop being around the pool and being around other people, whether that's like swimmers or the coaches, or the other staff for Carmel. I feel like you really find out who you are. You get pushed to the limits, that's for sure, but that's good. That happens in life too, so that's okay. It's a good thing to learn. Find balance. I think something that was different in my experience than probably a lot of people's experiences, but was not only did I swim competitively, but I also sang in a world famous children's choir. So I had to find balance. I was in like honors and AP classes. I swam competitively year round. I sang in this choir that toured around the world. Find balance because it's okay to have balance, and in life you're going to have to juggle stuff. It helps you learn, and I think that was one of the best things that I did was have to find that balance because swimming alone forces you to have a lot of that's a really important skill, like time efficiency. You have to manage your time really well, and I think that in life, so just remember to not take it too seriously and enjoy all of your time with Carmel Swim Club.
Okay.
But I think like the first time that I actually achieved a state cut, which
Yeah.
is crazy because I know you talk to people who like went to nationals and Olympic trials.
Some.
But the first time that I got that, the first time that you make one of those things that you feel like is impossible,
Yep.
you're like, holy moly, this is what I've been working my years and months to achieve. So I think, and the first time that I went, like when I was in high school, I went to a private school. But the first time that I went to state with my private school and seeing all my Carmel friends, even though we were definitely not on the same, like my school was tiny and Carmel was big, but it was so fun to like run across the pool deck and be like, hey guys, and see friends that I've had my whole life when we were competing in the same thing for the same reason. So there's a lot. I mean, there's definitely a lot of positive memories that I have, but those are a few.